Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have a delicious alternative sancocho recipe for you guys. I'm going to show you how to make sancocho de pollo. So let's get into it. Alright, so this is the chicken breast that I'll be using for this sancocho recipe. I am using like split chicken breast that has the bone in for maximum flavor. And for my viandas or my root vegetables, viandas is root vegetables, I'm going to be using this frozen bag that has everything I need to make it super easy. Alright, so I have like a medium-ish stock pot here. I have the heat set over medium-low, and I'm going to drizzle a generous amount of extra virgin olive oil because I'm using chicken breast. Now, even though I'm using chicken breast, feel free to use like I'm going to add some sofrito. This is about 2 tablespoons of sofrito. I have 2 videos on my channel on how to make sofrito. Like I was saying, I'm using chicken breast, but you can use a combination of chicken breast, chicken thighs, drumsticks. Like you can use like any cut of chicken that you prefer. You can get a whole chicken and like cut it up and put it in there. That'll be really good. But I'm just using chicken breast. It's going to be nice and light and very healthy actually. So then I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce, and again I have my heat set over medium low. I'm just sauteing this for a little bit until it's nice and fragrant. Alright, so for my split chicken breast, what I like to do, I like to take out most of the skin and then I chop it up and I separate it from the bone as best as I can, but it doesn't matter too much because I am going to be throwing the bones that have like chicken meat still on them inside my pot, because the bone is going to give the sancocho amazing flavor. And if you don't know what sancocho is, sancocho, see, this is like the bone with some chicken. And after it boils, all that chicken is going to fall off the bone. Okay, sorry. So if you don't know what sancocho is a Latin American stew, but not only do they make it in Latin America, it also goes by other names in other parts of the world. It's basically just like a very hearty stew. And in Puerto Rico, I have a video on sancocho, by the way. In Puerto Rico, they usually make it with like a combination of like ham, sometimes ham hock, beef, sometimes chicken, like a combination of different meats. So this one is like a lighter version on sancocho. And I know that it's summer, but if there's anything about Puerto Ricans is we're gonna make some stew, even if it's hot outside. Like we're gonna make it. If there's a little bit of rain, if it's just a little cloudy, it's soup, it's stew, it's something. something hearty and comforting, we're gonna make it. All right, so I mixed up my chicken and my sofrito and my tomato sauce, and then I'm gonna add some adobo. So you can use adobo, you can use salt and black pepper, whatever you want to use, or your favorite like garlic based all-purpose seasoning. I added about a teaspoon. Okay, and then I'm going to add some garlic powder. By the way, I will have all of the ingredients in the description box below. Oof, that was like a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then I'm going to add some black pepper. And some oregano. So apart from the seasonings that makes the sancocho or any kind of stew taste good, I think it's just like taking your time, doing everything in steps, the quality of your sofrito, making sure you have a good sofrito, which again, I have 2 videos on my channel on how to make it. Like all of that just makes for a really, really good soup or stew base. Just mixing up everything really well. Again, my heat is still set over medium low. All right, and so like the reason why I haven't added any water yet is because I kind of like to cook the chicken for a little bit in like the sofrito, the tomato sauce, and all the spices. That way, I just find that like all of the flavors kind of meld in the meat really well, and it just gives it a really good flavor. Now I'm adding some pimientos. Pimientos are just pickled red peppers. If you don't have this, that's okay. You can also add like some capers, some Spanish stuffed olives. And then I'm going to use a teaspoon of this better than bouillon. I think that's how you say it. Better than bouillon chicken soup base. This is equivalent to like those little cubed bouillons, like from the brand Knorr or even Goya. But I like this one better because I find that it tastes really, really good. I find this one at Target, and you can also find it at Walmart. All right, so I went ahead and added 8 cups of water. You just want to make sure you add enough water to not only cover your meat, but to leave plenty of room for all of the vegetables that we're going to throw in here, because a sancocho is not a sancocho without a bunch of different vegetables. So I'm adding 2 bell peppers because I didn't want them to go bad. I added a green bell pepper and an orange bell pepper, and I also added 2 small red skin potatoes. I like to keep the skin on my red skin potatoes because that's my favorite thing to do with red skin potatoes, but of course you can peel them. And I always like to give everything a nice chunky chop. Like I like my pieces to be very big, but you can chop them any size you like. And then I added 2 chopped up carrots. I highly recommend to get fresh carrots instead of baby carrots that are pre-peeled. I find that they taste a lot better. And then I'm going to use about 3/4 of that frozen vianda bag that I showed you in the beginning of the video. Now, viandas, again, is root vegetables in Spanish, and these are just a bunch of different exotic root vegetables. So you have like yuca, which is cassava in English, and then you have other things that I'm not 100% sure of their English names, but it's like ñame, malanga, yautía, and there's also green banana, which is like one of my favorite things, which is not a root vegetable. It's a fruit, but it's delicious. And it also has calabaza, which is a type of Caribbean squash. Now, my pot is to capacity, but don't worry, because as everything boils down, it gets a lot easier to stir because the starch and like the root vegetables will disintegrate a little bit, and it just makes it much easier to stir. And then I'm going to add 1 packet of sazon. You don't have to add sazon, honestly, because I find that the sancocho is already flavorful enough. And like the carrots, the tomato sauce, the calabaza, it gave the broth like a nice rich color. But I personally like sazon. And I know that's a little controversial, but I like sazon. But if you don't want to use sazon or Goya sazon, use any brand you like. I also have a video on how to make homemade sazon, so you can also do that as well. All right, I'm just stirring everything as best as I can because, again, everything is like to capacity, but that's okay. It'll get much easier after a while. All right, now I'm going to set my heat to medium and bring it to a nice simmer. And then once it comes to a boil on medium heat, I'm going to reduce my heat to low heat and just let it simmer for about 1.5 hours. And after about 1.5 hours, the sancocho is ready, and it came out incredible. Just so good. FYI, I like to use red potatoes because I find that by using russet potatoes, they like completely fall apart after a while, but red skin potatoes and yellow potatoes are very sturdy, so they didn't really fall apart in the broth. But you kind of want that. You kind of want the root vegetables to disintegrate a little bit because that's what gives the broth its richness. So freaking good. And I'm so glad that I left the bone in here because not only does it give it an extra layer of flavor, it's also extremely nutritious. But before I serve this to my family, I have to make sure that I remove the bone to ensure my family's safety. As you can see, most of the chicken has fell off. All that's left is like a little bit of skin. And that is all for today's video. This sancocho de pollo came out incredible, and it is perfect for my friends that don't eat beef or that don't eat pork. This recipe is for you. And as always, if you have not already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, give this video a thumbs up. It helps my channel a ton, and be sure to hit that notification bell. Until next time.